continue the Rules Committee meeting that we recessed earlier. Speaker, if you could we take care of the new business item and dispose of that? Then we can go back to the initial item.
I would like to do a motion to amend the agenda to move the one new business item forward to be immediately reviewed. Oh, there's two?
There was one added.
Okay, two new business
Where's the
items.
JOM?
It was handed out.
It should be on here.
It was it and the Sierra Hill one.
Okay,
I will second that, both of them.
Put that in
Okay.
form of motion.
okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. You want to take that, Speaker?
I think the first,
You're the first.
okay, I'll take the first one, which is a resolution authorizing the election commission to secure the existing election service safety deposit box. And I would put that in the form of a motion.
Motion and second, discussion. Counselor Watts?
Well, what does this mean? Does it fundamentally change anything? I mean, what does this do? I don't recall. I mean, it may just have been forever ago. I'd just like to understand it.
My understanding is they have an old safety deposit box from years ago, and the people that were on the box are no longer even on the election commission. And what they would like to do is go to the bank, put new people on there, figure out what's in the box, and bring it back to the vault. I'm not sure that they want to even keep it. I don't know what they needed a safety deposit box for, and they don't either.
May I?
Sure.
Will the box be inventoried and the inventory be kept as a public list of stuff? I mean, like, how will we find out what was in it, or if it had any implications on anything?
Let's look under here. It
When
would
I read it, it
allow,
was-
it would allow, 3 people would go to the safety deposit box out of 4. And they would access the existing election services safety deposit box at First State Bank of Tahlequah. That's pretty well what they're asking for.
And I think, Counselor Watts, if that is the request that you have, then I think you could take it up with them, and I don't see a problem where they wouldn't provide that information. I agree, we need to know what's in there. Yes?
They're going to do some changes on their policies, and that's one of the policies we should do secure viewing and all that stuff. Harvey's not here anymore, but there's some kind of policy that they're working on to address that.
And how, hasn't it been like 12 years or something? Well, they didn't even know about this box.
Right. After the changes and everything, they have to have a resolution before they can access the box now.
So that's what we know.
Okay.
I guess that's as much as they know. The only way I think they found out that there was even a box was there was money coming out of an account to pay for a safety deposit box that they didn't know what it was.
If there's no objection, would just be that the request from the Rules Committee is that in their next monthly report, they report back to us what was in the box
Sure.
in writing.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, note that, Shelley. Okay,
Know that, Sheila.
okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Counselor Walkenstick?
Thank you, Chair. This is a resolution, possible discussion for Cherokee Nation Education Department to provide equal per cap funding to all eligible JLM students, to all public schools within the 14 county jurisdiction, for Cherokee Nation for the FY15 school year. I'll do that form of motion.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Yes, Janice?
Okay, does this mean that we are going to exclude those schools that are within that 2-mile buffer? Is that what, or those students that are in that 2-mile buffer?
There's, should give you guys, there's a map here,
You want to yield to the speaker?
yes,
Actually, on Johnson O'Malley, the 2-mile buffer there never was a 2 mile buffer for Johnson O'Malley. It's for motor.
Yes, okay, my bad.
Chair?
Yes.
There's a total, in 1995, the JOM count was frozen from the BIE, and at a certain amount of students. Well, currently, right now, we get $1.7 million through BIE to Cherokee Nation for JOM dollars, and the counts are proportions. It's a percentage of whatever the count is, because there's Indian kids all over the United States, so that's a proportional. Well, we get 1.7 million of that, and we distribute $1 million of that to our 14 county schools. The purpose of this is there are 5 schools that are eligible for JOM funds, and we're not able to, we haven't moved forward to fund these schools. Next question is, what's the impact? Well, currently, we're giving $45 per kid in the 14 county for JOM to the schools. The impact we're looking at probably $1 as far as adding more kids to the system, because the money's not going to increase. The money stays the same. But if you have an overflow of eligible students, the per cap's going to decrease. But anyways, that's in the schools are Weber's Falls, Shady Grove, Mosley, Turkey Ford, Cleora, and our charter immersion school. Turkey Ford, just FYI, they are outside the 14 county jurisdiction. In my opinion, I don't think they should be involved with this formula. And our charter immersion is questionable. But we do get state aid funds. We talked to Dr. Morton, and he's still trying to get an opinion to see if they are eligible for JOM dollars. Anyways, that was it. I just want to bring up for discussion what your guys' thoughts were on this. Thank you, Chair.
Counselor Watts?
Thank you. So this is limited, just to make sure I understood, the JOM program inside the 14 counties. So that student count for only those schools inside the 14 counties.
Correct, and it's under the self-governance compact.
So where would the money come from, is that you're saying, for the additional dollars?
There is BIE, there's 1.7 million comes down from the BIE to the tribe. Then the tribe is over distributing funds and providing services for JOM students inside the 14 counties.
So we're not changing what we're doing, we're simply affirming what we're already doing, or are you wanting to eliminate the staff within the JOM program and thus the overhead, so it's a direct distribution?
We're adding those schools.
There's 5 schools that that's on a waiting list, that is not receiving funding currently through JOM, through Cherokee Nation.
Okay, that's clearer now. And so, again, where will the money come from, or will this be in the next fiscal year budget?
Yes.
Or, okay,
That's to be
Okay.
determined. Yes, we're just adding those schools.
oh, very good.
Yeah, they've been capped out for years.
I was a JOM kid, so this is good, okay.
Yes, okay.
But in April is the deadline for the count. This April is to get funding for FY15 for next year.
Okay, may I be added as a sponsor with you?
Yes, like I said, this is discussion. I don't want to cram anything down anyone's throat.
Oh, you're not. Counselor Buzzer?
What 5 schools are those again now?
It's Weber's Falls, Shady Grove,
Leora?
Mosley, Turkey Ford, which they're outside the jurisdiction, Cleora, and the charter immersion. And the total kids on that is there's 432 Cherokee kids, and there's 65 from other tribes, so it'd be 497 kids total.
That, you named 6, that's 6 that you named, wasn't it? 6?
That is 6, yeah.
Said 5 all ago?
But the charter immersion, we haven't gotten an opinion if they're even eligible for funding.
And I had a question about charter immersion, I'm 100% for the immersion kids, immersion school. But I think even now, when we fund the immersion school double our motor fuel
Triple.
tax,
The per cap at the immersion is triple, per pupil versus a public school.
And do you know-
Whereas like a public school, it's 8 to 9,000 per kid.
yeah,
At the charter, I think it's 24 to 27,000 per kid. 29,000 per kid.
so there's a big disparity between public school system and what they're getting up there, about $27,000. And I know the Turkey Ford School we're talking about, and I've talked about Turkey Ford for years, and a little bit about Turkey Ford. It just sits right on the line. It probably sits 50 foot over the line into Ottawa County, but I had checked probably 4 years ago, and there was 20 kids that went to that school up there that were Cherokee, but they all lived over in the jurisdictional boundaries, and they were bused over there. So and they haven't got funding before. This is just a real small school, goes up to the 8th grade, so they need it. I know it's out of the boundary, but it certainly is needed there, so. I have a little reservation about funding the immersion school for that, because I don't know just what you said, Mr. Walkenstick, about whether they're even eligible for it. I would support it for the 5. But I had one more question just to answer that. Why is Shady Grove out of that? Shady
What was the
Grove?
question?
Why is Shady Grove, why wasn't it included before?
They probably didn't get paperwork in. There was a cap there in 95 that just limited because of the numbers and the funding. So that's where these are the first schools that are on the waiting list. So I think the research that Counselor Walkenstick did, say, hey, these schools are, they deserve to be funded as well for the minimum amount, and it was a good gesture. Counselor Garvin?
I just wanted to ask the question, if you got so much money and you're gonna give it to these new schools, the others will be taking a cut, right?
Yes, sir. The impact will be $1. It'll be $45 to $44.
That's not bad. Guarantee that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in the
Math's
formula.
right.
Counselor Keener,
No, I didn't have any comment.
speaker?
This won't start until the new fiscal year?
If education decides to accept these schools and these kids, and the schools get their accounts done by mid-April, which Cherokee Nation's, their due date's mid-April for their accounts. Yeah, they will get funding for FY15, but if nothing happens between now, they won't get funding until FY16. They'll be able to qualify for it next year, and then the funding cycle runs a year behind.
Well, I was just, the reason I'm asking is I know the Johnson O'Malley money has already went to the schools, so there's nothing left in the pot.
They haven't did their counts yet for next year. They haven't got paid for this year's counts, because the counts due mid-April, which is a couple weeks away.
So we put them in the count, if this passes, and then they'll see money in the year 2016, possibly.
Fiscal year 15. We're in 14 right now, it'd be 15, yeah.
And have you talked to education? Are you working with education, Dr. Morton?
Dr. Morton's opinion on this was to not do it due to the fact of the impact of the per kid, the per cap. He said, the schools are getting hit hard already, and it wouldn't be good to hit them even more with these monies.
They're getting hit.
Well, budget cuts, but my opinion is, the impact. The impact was the problem, and like I said, the report that they gave me with all the kids, I think this dollar impact was just the 3 schools. They was taking Turkey Ford out and the charter immersion, but with all schools, Turkey Fork, Clear, charter, all of them, it was gonna be a $3 impact, from $45 per kid to $42 per kid.
We can't give it to someone outside of our jurisdiction.
Yeah, under the self-governance compact, because if we may be going into someone else's territory.
And if we
What-
violate it, we
what tri-
could
what-
lose all of our money.
What tribe is that gonna
The
be?
Osho River,
What-
you're
what?
talking-
That Turkey Ford, what jurisdiction is Turkey Ford in?
I'm not sure, but it's in that 5 tribe area group up there. It's in Ottawa County, probably Peoria, I would imagine.
Peoria,
Or
Seneca,
probably
Cayuga, Pawpaw, the Osho.
So that's what you run into, is that self-governance.
Yeah.
And I know, that's been a problem before there.
Do we need to get the head of Johnson O'Malley here, the head of the program, just to make sure that we don't step into something where we lose all of our money because we went 50 foot outside of our jurisdiction?
Yeah, I think that'd be a wise move.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we table it till we get more information.
I
Motion
second it.
table, second.
Could I offer a friendly? Could we move it to education so that that gives us enough time to get a hold of?
Yes, I accept.
I accept that.
Okay, and, Chair, we may, with the deadline being mid-April, is this something we wanna get the kids eligible for FY16 2 years down the road, or do we wanna try to get them eligible for next year? I mean, as far as for getting funding to the school.
Sooner the better if you can. You got time.
Just throwing that out there.
Can I pose one more question to the sponsor? If we move it to education, will that give them enough time if we do this to get their numbers and meet their deadline?
If education wants to work with, the education sets the guidelines. So if education wants to work with the council and the school waiting list,
So you'd still have enough time?
yeah, it's up to the discretion.
So we're not tabling the refer to education?
We're gonna move to education.
Okay. Yes. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, this will be moved to education, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Back to the fun stuff. Okay, we will continue the act, amend the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission Act, requirements and declare an emergency. Councilman Thornton and Councilman Fishinghall.
Come forward. I actually.
I don't guess we really need you, we're in the bay. Go ahead and sit back on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Counselor Watts, you wanna, take the lead on this?
Great, but I need those folks there, so I don't know, I thought we would have them to answer questions.
If we need them, I mean, we were in pretty good debate when we left off, but if you wanna,
Could you or
Colin?
the sponsors tell me what the actual impact will be, like who will no longer have to be licensed, and what will no longer be regulated, some specific examples, like maybe at the Hard Rock or at West Salem Springs or Salazar?
Jamie, Mark, why do you wanna answer that?
I don't think this would limit any regulations.
Okay,
It's making them compliant and restricted to the NIGC minutes, not far exceeding.
okay,
And they do approve our PMPs.
okay. What else?
If,
Okay, my question again was, what will fundamentally change in terms of who will no longer have to be licensed, what kind of staff member will no longer have to be licensed, what facilities will no longer be, what portions of the facilities will no longer be regulated. This appears to me to be very significant changes, so I'm trying to figure out, you know, the folks that are gonna have to actually implement it, you come asking for these things. This is a significant change to me. What happens? At the end of the day, where's the difference then? If there's no difference, why are we changing it? If that's the response, then why are we here? But if there's a difference, that means there's fundamentally gonna be somebody that's not gonna be licensed anymore by the gaming commission. There's gonna be, there's a change. So what is the change? And if we can't answer those, then we need to table it for a month.
I can tell you what the goal is, Mr. Chair. The goal was to reassign the duties between Cherokee Nation Business and the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission. Non-gaming activities will fall under the supervision and the control of Cherokee Nation Business. Gaming activities and gaming, anything related, directly related gaming will be the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission. Counselor Fisher, is that correct? So as far as people not being regulated or not being supervised, it just means the duties are changing from one group to another.
And you guys are in agreement with that?
Yes.
Jamie?
I don't know if I can say yes or no at this point.
Okay.
To go to the exact language of it, to, if we were carving out non-gaming entities or non-gaming portions of a facility, there are individuals in those locations that we do license, so there will be a number of people that will be in that category. And the ruling that we got from NIGC about 12 or 13 years ago requires us to license every employee of a gaming facility. And so if we're portioning parts of those out, we would have to see if there's any impact from an NIGC point of view. I don't know if that would be the case or not.
Did it require, or did it give us the option to license?
It requires.
It requires primary management officials, key operating, and then other operating. The other operating is that the determination of the tribe or the tribal gaming authority, which the tribal gaming authority has been established by the council to be the gaming commission. It would not prevent licensing of any of the employees or the background checks or anything.
Okay.
That is not the intent or spirit. The way I understand it's written, I didn't write it, not amending. We were brought here to give you input as to areas that we saw that we feel like are either inhibiting or cost. That's the only purpose we're here. It's not to get rid of a regulatory body and have just complete control in no way.
Is there a time frame that you see with these 70 questions or policies that are still left out there? Is there a time frame you guys could give us that you might address and dwindle some of those down?
Yeah, I mean, Barry is committed to giving me the final report. We've met on it 3 times. As I said, it started at 200
Yes,
comments.
that's good.
And I had a meeting to go over it in a 3-hour period. It lasted 12 hours. I wanted to take out things that were just nitpicking and not
Okay.
stay focused on primary areas. And not to be just nebulous about it, but to give you the comparison between national Indian gaming standards for minimum internal controls, the regulations, our viewpoint, the commission's viewpoint, the estimated cost, and a recommendation as to what could go forward. So it's not just a haphazardly put together document. It's been very time consuming.
Sure.
I would estimate there's probably been over 400 hours of management time put in.
But to go, if I might, Mr. Chair, as far as a time limit, I don't know if there's an actual time limit. We did talk a little bit outside of here to see if there is a way we could get that pieces of information to see what there is that we could work on. And I think we even looked at a meeting as early as next week, Monday, Tuesday or so, next week, where we might be able to go over these particular items. As Mark said, if Barry gets everything done on Friday, Mark's going to take a look at it, and give it to me, and we're going to start looking at them and see how we might be able to work on this.
That's good. I mean, it's sounding better already. Okay.
Chairman, I still don't know that I feel like I have my question answered. There's not any specifics about like types of staff or employees that will be impacted or areas. I heard there's a possibility, I think from the earlier discussion, that would be MIGs and, is it Toby Keith's. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you're the gaming commission, a representative of the gaming commission. So that would be, you would no longer license those groups or those folks, the way I read this, or, I mean, neither of us have had this very long, so I don't know that either of us can answer this, but.
Just at first blush, that's what it would appear, but like I said, without being able to go through it and vet it and see if there what, as far as any actual numbers, I can't give you those. But if we are looking at changing definitions and removing certain portions of the facility from being licensed by us or any oversight or anything along that line, then there will be some impact.
What are some of your concerns now that you've had it for a couple of hours? What would you and your staff be concerned about in talking to your commission? What would be some of those things that you would need to look at further and would have reason for concern as a regulatory body?
Well, I have not shared the contents with my staff yet, or at present, but one of the things I would be interested in doing is sharing, of course, with the commissioners and seeing, and getting their input on it after we've had a chance to go through it. But at this point, I think it'd be a little bit early for me to offer up any.
So your commission hasn't seen it either?
No.
Okay, so, Mark, I don't know if this needs to be Mr. Slayton's question or not, but has this Cherokee Nation Businesses Board that oversees CNE or the CNE committee had a chance to look at it or had any comment or passed a resolution in terms of regulation?
They have not seen our report, as I said earlier, it's in draft report. You know, I have it here, and once again, it's in draft, there are comments on it. I know they've probably been shared and seen. And so we haven't gone to them and said, hey, we specifically want them to not regulate. No, there is no resolutions to formally passed by our board at all.
Well, I mean, but like if your interim or draft report on the 70 items, I assume that maybe they have some look at that.
Oh, they will, and I told the Attorney General, as soon as we complete it, I'm gonna vet it through his office, or his.
Is there some sense of urgency that we have to pass it right now?
I would defer to the council, that's not my call.
I know there's other people that have questions.
Yeah,
but
we're going to get to those. So if you,
I make a motion to table for 1 month for consideration of next rules.
yeah, we're going to stay in debate here. Speaker?
Am I next?
Yes.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, there's been a motion and a second to table.
and he has discretion to continue with the.
Yeah, we're gonna
rules
debate
on
here.
this. Okay, I have had an opportunity to read this during the breaks and to discuss this with the individuals, a couple of these individuals, other council members. What we have is two primary things, as I understand it, in these amendments. One is we would add 3 advisory members to that commission. That is no different than C and B, where we have 8 advisory members. They would have no power of voting. They would just simply be our eyes and ears. And surely I can't find a reason why anyone would not want those advisory members. I mean, we've all been invited to his meetings, so I surely don't see why 3 of them being advisory members and going to the meetings and reporting back to us would be a problem. The second big thing is we're asking them to limit their regulations to no more, to not exceed, not conflict with the regulations of the National Gaming Commission. Now, I think that's where the 70 problems are. They think that they have exceeded it in 70 different areas. Now, we as a council are just saying, don't do that anymore. Do not exceed what the National Gaming Commission says. 95% of the tribes in this country do the same thing. They limit it to that first layer. And they do it because if you don't, you're giving your business arm a competitive disadvantage in their market. And we are in a extremely hard market, because if you look at Tulsa, how many tribes have big gaming facilities in Tulsa? If you look at Oklahoma, we have more gaming facilities in Oklahoma than Las Vegas has. This, folks, is a very, very competitive market. And we're just saying, do not tie these gentlemen's arms behind their back and tell them to make a bigger bottom line. That's what you have tasked them with, is to have a larger bottom line to help with services for the tribe, and then you tie their arm behind their back. We're simply saying, do not exceed, do not conflict with the national gaming regulations. And keep in mind, at the latest conference that we just had on gaming in Tulsa, that was the one thing that came from that conference, is 95% of the tribes do not do this to their gaming arm. We're in that 5% that does, and I just don't see why we have to do it. I'm saying go back to the first layer. We're not doing away with the Gaming Commission. Everybody wants the Gaming Commission. Everybody's proud of what they've done. They're proud of what Jamie has done. We're just simply saying this is what we're giving you as guidance. Don't go any further than that first layer. That doesn't mean anybody's going to skim anything off the top. That doesn't mean anybody's going to run to the vault and take $100 million out of it and run off. It's already been on Twitter that, let me see here if I can read my writing, that we're all a bunch of thugs down here. And I resent that, because I don't believe I'm a thug. I don't know about the rest of you all, but for somebody on this body to call all of us thugs, come on now. That's most inappropriate. Most inappropriate. I have warned you all about this tweeting. This goes out to the world. Tweeting and twattering, we need to stop it. But I don't believe we're a bunch of thugs. I believe that we are carrying out our constitutional duty. And our constitutional duty is to make laws that we believe are necessary to give guidance to our commissions. And that's all we're doing. Thank you.
Very well.
And I will oppose any motion to table. I'm here to do the people's business.
Okay, anybody else? Councilor Day?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so I think what I'm hearing just now that I haven't heard before was CNE, CNB, they're gathering information. They've never taken it to their full board. This is the first time I think the Gaming Commission has seen even this. So CNE, I think, tried to bypass the board and come straight to the council. If that's not correct, I'll stand to be corrected. Okay. So you have taken all of your cares and worries and so forth to the board to ask them to go and try to relate to the Gaming Commission, and you guys try to dovetail and work this out.
We have done that directly with the commission.
Okay. So you're
These
still,
have been vetted.
so you're still doing it?
They've been vetted, but it still passes regardless.
Okay.
I had no input into this council's resolution to amend the gaming act.
I understand. I'm not
So we
accusing
didn't
you of it.
circumvent our board.
I'm not
to try to-
accusing you of it. I'm
Well, you did.
asking
You said
you
we
if,
circumvented our board to come directly to the council. We've had no input on it. Mr. Black.
I'm asking you if you're working with the Gaming Commission to try to get through with these, is it 20 or 70 or whatever?
We've been working on
Okay.
that for 5 years, sir.
Well,
A number of these issues have been brought up before, and I would say probably about 85 to 90% have been addressed to the Gaming Commission either through the APA process, during the creation of proposed TICs, proposed regulations by the
Okay.
Gaming Commission.
okay, I understand. Let me ask you this. If we give you guys, first of all, I like the advisory board member. I like us looking over everybody, to be honest. Those of you who know me know I like that. I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm getting ready to try to make it friendly to let's vote on this, and I don't think it'll fly, but I'm gonna try it anyway. and have you guys give you 60 days, and if you can't fix what's wrong with you two entities, I'm doing my best not to name names, okay, that the CNE and the Gaming Commission to get it together and try to work out these differences. If we give you 60 days to do so, I'd sure like to see you all try it. I'm gonna try to do a friendly, I'll just do it now, to let's vote on this advisory board member situation. Leave these guys for 60 days, and if they don't fix it, then I'll do whatever we need to do. That's my friendly amendment. That's a compromise, I realize.
Let's continue discussion. He can bring that back up. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Thank
Because
you.
I'd like to give everybody a chance to
You bet.
speak their mind. But I like what you're proposing anyway, at least you're trying to compromise. Okay, anybody else? Counselor Fulbright?
Yes, thank you. I served on the gaming commission for many years, and I'm personal friends with several of the staff, and I feel like Jamie is a good friend of mine and a person of high integrity, and we saw it grow from nothing to something big. And as far as the advisory board committee, I think that was a great thing, because all the years I was on there, once or twice, a couple of the council members came down to the gaming commission and saw what we were doing, and we were really honored that they even showed up. There has been such a rate of progress, it's unbelievable how things have mushroomed through the years, and things have changed. Now I look at it as sort of a different angle, since I'm chair of the health committee, and I keep on seeing the bottom line dollar and all the health clinics that we're trying to build, and I want us to make as much money as possible. I want a high level of integrity there. I want us to go by the mix, and we're walking a fine line here. I can see Jamie's point from a background where I know where he's coming from. He's wants to be known as the most honest, high integrity tribe. We're doing everything right, and we're even doing more than what the federal government says that we have to do. I see where he's coming from. But I can also see where we need to be making more money, and if Mark says it's cost us $3.5 million in the last few years to go above and beyond, is there a middle ground here somewhere where it could be worked out? I see a point where I visited with Diane Kelly and different ones that with the day work training program, where we need to place people in, but they can't get a license, and maybe it's just a dishwasher or something totally not related to gaming, but they're in the facility. And I'm not getting down into the nitty-gritty fine points of it all because I don't know it, but if there's 70 things on there that Mark thinks is holding us back, I kind of agree with Counselor Lay. Maybe if they got down together, maybe we could come up with something better, but I kind of hear Mark saying from his point of view that he has addressed these things, and that the Gaming Commission went ahead and did what they wanted to about it. Is that kind of what you're saying? That when
It's
you,
my opinion, yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to get this all straight.
Right.
And I am kind of like undecided here about what is the best way to go. I want to uphold the integrity of the Gaming Commission. I've been hearing all these rumors, not from the commission, but from people working out in the casinos. I hate to report rumors, but they're saying, are y'all doing away with the Gaming Commission? No, we're not doing away with the Gaming Commission. Well, we heard you're going to do away with us. There's not going to be any Gaming Commission. I said, certainly there's going to be a Gaming Commission. So, like I said, I don't like to listen to rumors, but all these wild things are coming in on my telephone, and these people are concerned about what's going to happen, and I don't care how tight the regulations are. A lot of people out there think that we're hauling money to the bank in these backroom deals, and I think Jamie is to be commended on us having good audits and everything's up and above and beyond, and I feel like every dollar of our money is protected. So I haven't really decided about it, but I can see both sides of the story. And I guess that's about what I've got to say about it.
Very well put, Counselor. Kurt, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm not that familiar with the gaming commission at the moment.
Counselor Hargis? Counselor Buzzard?
Just a couple of comments and do have a couple of questions. And I know Mark knows and Jamie knows, we have to have regulations. I've been in the business long enough to know that we have to have a regulatory authority. Got a question for Jamie. And I know that, and I have a question for Mark also, but you mentioned a while ago, and I've heard that we do more than what the National Gaming Organization requires us to do. Well, why are we doing that?
Well, when we're looking at,
I know a while ago you mentioned smaller tribes can do it, but you just give me some more pointers here.
when we're looking at the overall structure that we have for the regulation, we not only have what we receive from the National Indian Gaming Commission in the form of not only the mix, but they have their other regulations that govern licensing, that govern audits, that govern fee payments, a lot of different areas. When it comes to the mix, what we have done is included some information in there that we are required to address within the mix, such as Title 31, such as IRS reporting, such as Office of Foreign Asset Control reporting and FinCEN reporting. So we have more than just the NIGC minimum internal controls within our tribal internal control system. So we have Title 31, we have NIGC, we also have incorporated state compact requirements within our internal controls. Where
Is
they
that
were-
beyond the national requirements?
If you wanted to look at it that it's not NIGC mandated, then including the compact materials in there is beyond the NIGC. But it is a separate document that we're required to, of course, comply with. Now, when we get to portions that, we have a document that shows every standard that we have on the books and where it comes from, whether it's a state compact or it's an NIGC or other federal requirement. There are some on there that are not in there, and those are the standards that we have gleaned from other jurisdictions that we felt were appropriate for our setting. So when we have looked at our total system of regulation, it is more than just NIGC mandates. It's compact mandates, other federal agency mandates, and then there's industry, regulatory industry practices that we felt were appropriate for us.
And I got a question for Mark. You mentioned $3.5 million to $4 million over the last 4 or 5 years that we didn't collect because of some of these mandates. Now, can you tell me or tell us maybe 2 or 3 items that held you back from making those?
Well, we think
profits, Mark?
I
mean, probably some of you's going to mention what he just said.
right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's 2 items that really make up almost $3 million.
Okay.
One relates to our surveillance systems and the requirements that they wrote into regulations or the MIG that relate to number of frames per second requirements. So it basically pigeonholes you into a system you go with. Because we have to have all color cameras in coverage areas, highly sensitive areas, gaming areas. There are times when color cameras are not appropriate for that. It doesn't help you distinguish, particularly pips on a card and a table game. But they made these global items. We want to make sure we're in compliance. We want to make sure you can review it. But we spent $1.6 billion on a system that they basically said, you're going to get this system, and we wrote it into the regulations to get you there. We think as a business operation that we're able to evaluate that. We have, I believe, far more competent staff in evaluating the needs. They are regulators. We are operators. You know, You hired us because of the business industry we have. We're not telling you we don't want regulations. We are not saying that. We're saying it goes above and it costs money. The other also relates to those systems, as I said, the color TV systems, recording requirements. Right now, the mix require you, the national mix, to record and retain 7 days of gaming activity. Our commission has gone and said 30 days, and then 14 in non-gaming areas. That's cost us $1.6 million to reach that. We believe you have to retain it more than that, but we think it's addressed in the system of internal controls that we adopt and they approve. But since they disagree, they wrote it into the regulations. That's our concern.
Thank you for that information. That's helpful, I think, to everybody here. I do want to say, I've listened to both sides, and I understand where you're coming from, and I certainly understand where Jamie's coming from. And I appreciate what the chairman said a while ago, and I appreciate what Councilor Lay says. I think this is something that can be worked out, and I'd like to see us give them some days to do it. We just heard some things that's cost us some money that we probably don't need, in my opinion. I don't know about Jamie's opinion or the board, he may can defend that, but those are some things that we need to take a look at. So I favor what Councilor Lay said.
If I might, Mr. Chairman.
Let's go, Argus.
I guess this first question would be for Mark. Does the standards that you've identified, do they, from the NIGC, that they've exceeded, do they generate revenue for the Gaming Commission?
The only area that they get revenue would be for, via licensing.
So these
The
exceeded
licenses,
standards
right.
does not generate revenue for the Gaming
No.
Commission? Okay.
Good question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess my first question will be on page 28, and it's to our legal counsel. I didn't understand why the wording was changed to shall, promise to will.
Where's that at?
Page 28, section 53, under A. letter A.
Oh, shall? Okay.
Is that archaic language that
Because promises don't mean nothing. I'll promise you all day long. I won't take your money. I'll love you all a while.
Something we just
Strong
had.
legislation right there.
Look that I died.
Okay. We want to answer Councilor Keener's question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
It's just something that we looked at, but shall could remain the same. It was,
Well, in legalese, what should we do?
this actually is more beneficial to the gaming commission than the CMP.
Well-
If you see
well-
that everybody nodding, you'll see Jamie, I mean,
To me, looking at that wording will change this kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other. We will keep
It
it
is,
confidential.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
we always have.
Okay, that's fine, I was just curious about that. Thank you. And then, what I'm seeing is, you mentioned, Mark, you mentioned the two, the cost benefit if we did this, and the volume you mentioned, 3.2 million. But what's in the body of the act in front of us keeps delineating non-gaming and gaming. And that seems to be more of not only that, but the three advisory board. So on page 11, under D, one of the changes was directly related to gaming activities. Number 7, applicable to gaming activities. Number 14, which I thought was a big one, was taking out facility and putting activities in there. So that means somebody could be doing something, gaming or non-gaming activity, but you're still gonna be at the facility, but facility's crossed out, so you could be doing an activity and you wouldn't be under the same gaming commission guidelines, it appears. So, to me, that's what we're taking, one of the big things of this act is to take out or make that separation of gaming and non-gaming. So gaming would be, and if I'm ascribing the right meaning to this, is that what you're saying, how you're seeing it? Gaming and non-gaming will be two separate almost, and non-gaming will not be under the same rules as they have been under the gaming commission? Or non-gaming, I should say. I mean, what you mentioned that was a big money problem is not in here. There's nothing about surveillance.
I gave you 2 examples.
Yeah, I
of
know.
all of it. So,
Yeah,
I mean, we haven't
but it's-
finished that report with the 70 items.
But if that was 3.2 million, that would, over the last 4 years, there's nothing in here about surveillance that I read. But there is about non-gaming areas or activities in the body of the text. So I was just curious why, if that's so important and cost money over 4 years, why would it be addressed like the non-gaming portions are? It seems, we talked, before the break, we talked about comps. And so is it section 7, Jamie, 17, that has the comps mentioned?
Of our,
And mix,
of our ticks, yes.
ticks? And is that going to be, it's a non-gaming activity? Is it a gaming activity? Okay, so that won't go away, will it? So what will be the non-gaming activities? Is restaurants and,
Operations there.
Their operations of the restaurants, the hotels, retail, those areas that are not involved in any gaming activities now. Now, they don't do.
Cash handling procedures. You can't take cash handling procedures and globally apply it to the rest of the casino. That's what's been done.
And the same thing for key controls and, access control requirements. There's a lot of areas that just deal with the facility itself, but those controls aren't necessarily appropriate for those non-gaming activities, especially when the source of a lot of those controls were located and originated in the NIC. So that's what we're saying on our side.
and I'm struggling with that non-gaming gaming because, as mentioned before, Toby Keith was an example, that's non-gaming. But as soon as you walk out, you have access to that. So if you can get in the rear door of Toby Keith's, then you can access gaming, in my mind. Because you can walk through the front door of Toby Keith's. You can't?
Well, I mean, yeah, you can as a customer. Every customer can
Right.
do that.
So,
But not every customer is regulated.
That's not a gaming regulation.
no, but I mean, they have access to the game.
Right.
So, and then that's where the gaming commission steps in, but it's gaming.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely, they should. When it relates to the activities they take part on that gaming floor, absolutely.
So earlier, we said that 93% was, around that figure was where we are with what you do agree on. 7% would be what you don't agree on.
Well, more than 7, but significant items, yes.
Okay, well, so,
Yeah.
okay, and we talked about 80-20 too, and 90-10, whatever it is. For the most part, it's good.
Oh, absolutely. Jamie and them do a fantastic job.
They do.
Absolutely. We commend them. But, absolutely. This is in no way a bashing or a stab or a take toward anything other than some, we think, reasonable and sensibility in approaching how it's regulated and then operating. The clear and distinct requirement that the commission is not involved in day-to-day management. That is an obligation under the minimum internal control standards. And we view that it's getting over into those instances. And even at that point, where we bring it to our board, they wouldn't be able to change it because he's written it into the code.
So coming here is kind of like you didn't get your way, or you're not getting your way, so it's a kind of
Point
a
of order.
last ditch
Point
effort.
of
No, sir, I was asked to come here as a support role. In no way did we go away because we've talked about this for 5 years. It's been 5 years. It's being addressed by the council on their side. No, we're not crying and whining and coming to try to get something from you. No, sir. I think this is an action by your council, not me.
I don't
I'm
think he
still
has to do.
struggling with the non-gaming and gaming.
I don't think it has to do with anybody getting their way. I think what I see is some cooperation. I said it earlier, all you guys have watched Cool Hand Luke. Now, from what I see is we all work for the Cherokee Nation. We're supposed to be a team. If you've been watching March Madness, the teams are winning. The individuals go home. And I'd like to ask a question here. Of the 5 tribes, how many of them are using mix right now? 5 civilized tribes.
Every one of them.
Every one of them. Okay. So we still got a little bit work to do. You guys do. But if I think we're getting there. I don't think we've ever had a sit down like this to go over what one hand was doing and the other. I don't think we ever had this discussion. It should already been done because we grew so fast here at Cherokee Nation. All of a sudden, we're making billions of dollars. Everybody's going, wait a minute. This is my turf. This is my turf. I see it here in the departments here at Cherokee Nation. But we're all under one philosophy here, and that's to help our people. That's the bottom line. I do see progress here. We're not there yet, but we're getting closer. I don't have the answer right now, but if the committee is willing, I don't know how much time you guys need. Mark, do you need this tonight? Jamie, do you need this tonight? Or can we recess this in 30 days? You guys have some really good answers for us? No? Okay, I'm just throwing some ideas out there.
I'm committed to doing what we can to address any of these areas that we have the ability to address and then see what progress we can make.
Yes. I see progress, it's just not fast enough.
Passing that amendment would allow them to move forward in dividing up their duties and clarifying that, and that's what this part is.
Well, let's continue the debate. Okay, start back over here. We've already gone down this road. Counselor Thornton, I've got time.
My turn again. Anyway, they must be having problems with this at the National Gaming Commission level, because this is just about all I heard at every meeting I went to, was you local gaming commissions, when you make changes, you take your policies and procedures and you go to your council. And that's what the National Gaming Commission was saying. And that's the way I took it. And as far as security, there are security cameras in the jewelry stores, in the eating places. You all watch the security in those all the time, don't you? Gaming Commission has people in there watching those also.
They also have their own viewing monitors in each of
Yeah.
their offices.
Yeah.
But they are in our full room too, yes, sir.
My suggestion, and no one's gonna go, but anyway, is to go ahead and pass this act. And anything that the Gaming Commission wants to bring forward and change and better their operation, as they say, bring it to the council before you enact it. And that's the way I'm looking at this. I think this act needs to be passed and needs to be performed. But I think if we put this out there and throw it out there, that anytime the Gaming Commission or people want to change the policy, change the mix, bring it before the council, because that's what we was being told by the National Gaming Commission. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Councilor West?
I have no input because haven't gone to gaming meetings yet.
Councilor Watkins Stick?
I'm a school administrator, and I'm all about trying to get every penny possible and still stay in compliance. And so I see both sides here, and that's all I say. Thank you.
Councilor Lay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm a cattleman, and I shut my gates and have good fences. And that's what Mr. Hummingbird and his group do.
Okay. Councilor Baker?
I agree with what Mr. Lay said earlier. I mean, I'm in favor of the advisory members, but I think that we should give them time to work out the other issues before this is enacted.
Counselor Watts?
Thank you. I favor the advisory board members. I've always thought that that was a unique role where we had people on the council that we could ask to help provide additional input that we expected to be at those meetings on a regular basis. From what I understand, as long as there's no limitations on other council people, then there should be no issue with it, and I understand that. I support that part.
Okay.
I think what I'm hearing now is, there's definitely input from employees that I've gotten even prior to this meeting. I had no idea this issue would start coming to a head now, today. But really what I'm hearing, separate from the work of regulation, which is happening between the business and the regulators, being the gaming commission, we have a fundamental principle to move forward with here. We as a tribe have chosen to be a self-determination tribe. That our gaming commission is part of that. We are self-regulating, which makes us a functioning, sovereign government. So for us to lessen the role of the regulators, who are Cherokee citizens as a gaming commission, most of the staff, and we ask them to go do those things for us, and then suddenly we come back and say, no, don't go do that for us. I think that's an issue for me. But also, we've set aside this land in trust for gaming. So if Toby Keith's makes an agreement with us, or Mixed Jewelry, or whoever those people are, and I'm not naming them to say that they have any input, they may not even realize this is going on. But in examples that like our employees or our citizens or the public can get a hold of if they were to watch this debate and dialogue, they have chosen to come into a gaming environment on tribal trust property, which is our obligation to regulate and oversee. There is nothing that has been said today. I appreciate what Councilman Keener said, that the act itself doesn't seem to really help do what Mr. Fulton is asking to be done, which we all understand financial, that's quantitative. We can get a hold of that financial impact. But this act doesn't necessarily resolve what I hear are maybe the natural working issues of these groups. But what I fear is that it lessens our regulatory role in a gaming environment, which really includes anybody on that property and that facility, and that is not where I want to head. I think that those people are there to regulate, to make sure that there is absolute integrity in and around our gaming machines, and that there's no question about what is or is not happening, because it's a very fast-moving, cash-based environment, and we have that obligation to make sure that our regulators are there in all aspects, which may seem overreaching for the business. But I don't think that this forum is where we necessarily address it, especially in such a quick manner when at least some of us did not have the legislation until we got here today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Counselor Taylor?
I don't see anything in this act that really bothers me. I feel like the Gaming Commission has been open to us to attend their meetings, and so I just don't, there's nothing in here that bothers me. One thing that I did note, I'm not sure if this is a time to bring it up, there's just a typo on page 11, and I have, it's in the red line at the top, fourth line down, Indian Gaming Commission. And so that doesn't.
Could be properly certified.
Other than that, I'm good. You make it a friendly? Yes, could I make it friendly that, to fix that typo?
Counselor Coates?
I'm basically, of the same position that I've heard expressed by Jack, I think most distinctly, which is that, the advisory stuff is good, but I think there are some issues here, and we could give them a little more time to work that out. I'm not quite sure what the push is to do this real, so quickly. Overall, I'm okay with most of what's gone down, or with most of what's in the act. Oh.
Okay? Give you guys a couple of minutes to give your comments, and we're gonna go up and down.
I think I pretty much said pretty much everything that I think I can say at this point. I do feel that it would be a good thing if we were able to get the input of the 5-member commission that the council has approved and it sits in on all of these issues. I think if we were able to get their input and come back with some ideas and recommendations and have time to work on some of these issues that we can resolve, I think that would be the best thing overall for the nation.
We've been here and compiling data and information, which, as I stated earlier, is not complete, of providing instances where we do feel like it's overreaching and impacting business and costing money. That's the only thing. We are in full support of regulation. We know, we believe, we want that. You need a gaming commission license. If you have one revoked, you never work in this business again, ever. And that's very important to me personally for my family, but also serve at your leisure. You know, whatever you guys want, we're gonna comply with it. These are our opinions that these things are overreached where they need to be. You know, we're not saying, well, we wanna be reasonable about it. We just think they've gone past some of the points of reasonability, the items we've talked about. But no, we do want regulation and have a great deal of respect for the work Jamie this commission does. Absolutely. So in no way is this, as I've heard today, that we just want to get rid of gaming and not have regulations over our operating systems. No, sir, that is not. We were brought here to provide information in case there were questions that you guys might have.
Good. No, I've known all of you guys for quite a while. You two. We're honored to have this gentleman here. Give his input, but you guys run a good ship, both of you. And I think we need to start working as a team, whatever that means, whatever it takes. And this has been an education for me. Some of the terms you guys are using, I knew some of that, but not all of that. So I've really learned quite a bit on just today's meeting here, on what you shared. I think it was obvious to some of the council members, they as well weren't familiar with some of the issues that we were dealing with. So this has been a good eye-opener for us. I'm glad we're having it now instead of later. So there's not any more comments or debate, folks. I mean, I'm tired of looking at this issue. I mean, you can put it on somebody else's committee. I've got things to do for the people. I don't want to continue to be it on rules. So with that, you got a motion, you got a second. Let's go up and down and vote on it.
It's an act, roll call.
Yes, roll call votes, young.
Okay, Joe?
Yes.
Yes, is to pass it.
Yes.
Jody Fishenhawk,
Yes.
Janelle Colbreth,
Yes.
John Garvin,
No,
Frankie Hargis,
Yes.
China Glory Jordan,
Yes.
Lee Keener,
No.
Dick Lay,
No.
Curtis Snell,
yes,
Denise Taylor,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Victoria Vasquez,
Yes.
David Walkingstick,
Yes.
Kara Cowan Watts,
No.
Jack Baker,
No.
Harley Buzzard,
No.
Joe Byrd,
I'm going to abstain.
Julia Coates.
No.
We have 9 yes, 7 no, and 1 abstention.
Okay. Any announcements?
make a motion, we
Adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
Break that hammerhead off, Joe.